Good Morning Vietnam tells the story of...
No, he's got a girl's name.
Not that one!
That's a joke, right?
Played by the late great Robin Williams, a DJ who's taken to Saigon during the Vietnam War to run the local radio station in order to keep up the soldiers' morale. However, the guys in charge find Adrian's humour rather offensive and downright dastardly, despite his buddies loving it, one of which is played by Forrest Whitaker. The movie then centres around Adrian brightening people's lives before censorship issues and all sorts of beloved war drama and antics. See?
That's a joke, right? I get it.
In 1979, writer Adrian Cronauer pitched a sitcom based on his experience as a DJ in the US Air Force, even naming the lead character after himself. However, most networks weren't interested in the project as it was considered far too similar to the popular TV series MASH, and because they didn't see the Vietnam War as an appropriate setting for a comedy. Sensitive b****.
That's censorship, Edward. That's not what America's all about.
Wait, yes it is.
What, sir?
Cronauer then rewrote the script into a TV movie rather than a pilot episode for a sitcom, which eventually got the attention of Robin Williams, who loved it, and brought in Mitch Markowitz to do some rewrites, even getting the Walt Disney Company to finance the film. However, in the end, very little of Cronauer's original draft was left in the final screenplay, and he was only credited for the overall story. Despite this, he was still very pleased with the film once he saw it, though he did point out that it was actually not an accurate representation of what really happened. I'm very happy with it. Of course, it was never intended to be an accurate point-by-point biography. It was intended as a piece of entertainment, and Robin was playing a character named Adrian Cronauer who shared a lot of my experiences. But actually, he was playing Robin Williams. Anybody who has been in the military will tell you that if I did half the things in that movie, I'd still be in Leavenworth right now. A lot of Hollywood imagination went into the movie. I was a disc jockey in Vietnam, and I did teach English in my spare time. I was not thrown out of Vietnam. I stayed for my full one-year tour and was honourably discharged.
This is not over yet.
None of the characters in the film are based on actual people Cronauer met, although he stated that he based them on common stereotypes of military personnel at the time. The scenes where Adrian teaches his class to swear and use street slang, his pursuit of a Vietnamese woman, and his jeep being blown up in the jungle were all made up for the film and never happened in real life. The only part of the movie that he described as 100% accurate was the fact that he was across the street at the time a nearby restaurant was bombed.
It's impossible.
Jeff Canoe and Robert Benton were both considered to direct the film before Barry Levinson came on board, and he insisted that Williams was not allowed to meet the real Cronauer as he didn't want him to copy his mannerisms and turn his performance into an imitation of the real person, though the two would eventually meet at the film's premiere.
Real intelligent solution.
Production began in June of 1986 in Thailand, and many of the country's local military were actually hired as background extras for the film. As a reward for their work, Robin Williams performed a stand-up routine on set as a way of saying thank you. That man was just amazing.
My thoughts exactly.
Good Morning Vietnam was given a limited release on December the 23rd, 1987, before a wide release on January the 15th, and was surprisingly a big hit, grossing $123.9 million in the US alone, making it the fourth highest grossing movie that year, and received mostly positive reviews. But some people just had to be different. It wasn't me this time. It's beyond compulsory and condescending. The film is merely a Robin Williams concert movie welded clumsily onto the plot from an old Danny Kaye picture. It hardly delivers on the promise of giving us the pure, undiluted Williams at his best. What's more, it's not even close to being his best movie. It's not even close to being good.
Jesus, that guy's as boring as whale.
And the film remains to this day one of his most iconic performances. But when Robin goes on the air, these scenes are just magical. And they are all completely improvised, and you can tell. It's like he was auditioning for his role as the genie. They just let him go in there and do his thing, and he was so good at it. He's having the time of his life. But bear in mind, not only did Robin have to go in there and just make up things on the spot and be funny and entertaining, but he also had to remember where he was in time. This is set in the 60s. He couldn't make any jokes about anything that happened after this. He couldn't make jokes about any recent events. He had to keep in his mind where he was in time, and he still nails it.
Oh, I'll get you, my pretty. Oh my God, it's the Wicked Witch of the North. It's Hanoi Hannah. Now, little G.I., you and your little Tudu, too. Ah!
Wicked Witch of the West, and it's Toto. God damn it, Adrian! The first radio show does go on for quite some time, but it was ad-libbed, and it just proved how good he was. He could do this for days, and the material was just too good to cut short.
And don't say that the weather is the same all the time here, because it's not. In fact, it's 2 degrees cooler today than yesterday.
2 degrees cooler? Me without my muff.
I'm trying to...
Alright, they do tend to exaggerate just how funny he is sometimes. I mean, that was like a filler line at best. Calm down, mate. But this is literally like YouTube, yelling at Adrian for his humour, which wasn't even remotely crude. Jesus Christ, imagine if they saw his stand-up routine.
With porn movies, when you're watching them, it's basically, they're an hour and a half long. And who watches an entire porn movie? Even with fast forwarding, you're like, ah!
But get this. Adrian spots a woman he finds hot, but she blows him off and leaves. So him and Forrest literally steal bikes to chase her down the street. Will you stop making heroes creepy-ass stalkers? So they track the girl down to her English class and hang around outside, peeking it. What the hell is this? These guys are total creeps. He does gain the courage to go inside, but he lies to the teacher and claims that he only has 2 months to live and bribes him into letting him teach the class. What a stand-up guy. So he makes the students write down their names, addresses, and phone numbers. Are you kidding me? This is beyond disturbing. What was wrong with the 80s? No wonder girls reject guys so much. No wonder they paint guys as douchebags who only want one thing when movies depict them like this. And then we just enter a Robin Williams stand-up routine. How is this guy making this so charming? No, it's creepy and weird.
Okay, Sherlock, yeah. I bribed my way to meet the girl. You got me, bang. But hey, I like the class, so I'm gonna stay.
Yep. That's all you have to do, apparently. Just bribe a teacher and find us keepers. The class is yours now. Yeah, he continues teaching the class for the rest of the movie.
Come on.
You like me because of my sister.
Oh.
Well, yes. You didn't care about him at all until he said that. Adrian's a complete douchebag. But it's Robin Williams, so he's so perfect. I'm so confused.
I know we can't use the word dyke. You can't even say lesbian. It's women in comfortable shoes.
You can't even say that anymore, mate. And is it just me, or does this weasel guy sound like he swallowed Joe Pesci?
Antics, damn it. Comedy of errors, like the Keystone Cops falling down. General wackiness like that.
If someone is not telling the truth, you say that they are full of...
Oh, that's pretty good.
Okay, if someone is making you angrier and angrier, therefore you have...
This is actually so charming. I love it. We miss you, Robin.
She comes up, she spills soup all over you, looks at you like, I'm sorry, what are you going to do about it, ass? What do you say to her? What would you say? They spilled something on your parents, what would they do? What would you do?
I do nothing.
I love this guy. And admittedly, at least now when the girl starts to take an interest in him, it feels smooth and natural. I mean, the way they meet is disturbing as hell, but now it's actually quite sweet. But hey, it turns out that Robin Williams actually invented the YouTube poop genre. Yeah, he edits the audio of President Nixon, and this is hilarious.
Mr. Nixon, thank you for that concise political commentary, but I think I'd like to delve into something slightly more personal for the men in the field. How would you describe your testicles?
That they're soft, that they're shallow, that they have no purpose.
He did a very off-color parody of former VP Nixon.
I thought it was hilarious.
Shh! It's offensive! And if it's offensive, it automatically means it can't be funny as well.
I can't. I gotta be back on the air again at 4.
You have to meet her today. Otherwise you meet the big chance.
I don't want to miss my big chance.
Yes, come, to go.
Sound like you learned English from Tonto. Come on.
Come on.
Stop being racist! It's just devastating to watch all of the destruction and seeing all the carnage and victims bleeding. Just got real. And Robin should be counting his lucky stars. He was only inside there like 10 seconds earlier. And I know this feeling all too well. He's told that he can't report the explosions, so he becomes depressed at being censored. You can tell he's upset, but he has to put on a brave face. Well, voice for the show with his usual energy and comedy. I never do that. And then he decides to report it anyway.
In Saigon today, according to official sources, nothing actually happened. One thing that didn't officially happen was a bomb didn't officially explode at 14:30 hours, unofficially destroying Jimmy Waugh's Cafe.
Get him out of there.
3 men were unofficially wounded.
I think it's a huge testament to Williams' talent. He was a total creep earlier, and now he's so likeable and easy to root for. How he do that? But Adrian refuses to go back on the air despite the fan uproar.
I can't believe you. What? That's it? You don't leave the whole thing behind. You leave everything hanging. People are depending on you.
Calm down, mate. It's just a radio show. But in a really sweet scene, Forrest reveals his whereabouts to the soldiers despite him being uncomfortable. Naturally, they want proof that he's the famous radio host, and it gets Williams in the mood to do more of his routine, just to make them happy. He goes from miserable to happy within seconds, pretty much just like how he sadly would act in real life. He talks to everyone, gets to know them, and it's really charming and sweet as he's trying to take their minds off the war and brighten their day, even if it's just for a moment, regardless of his own hardships and problems. As soon as they leave again, he becomes sad. So in a way, yeah, he kind of was playing Robin Williams, but that doesn't mean it's a bad performance, far from it. The experience even convinces him to return to the radio and shouts out the soldiers that he's met.
BC, the BC. Tell me something I don't know, okay?
Popeye was an underrated gem?
Not in Kansas anymore, though.
No, don't you mean?
Doo-doo.
But he does end up finding out that his girl's brother is actually a terrorist, and he was the one responsible for blowing up the restaurant earlier, which is why he lured Williams to safety moments later. This is an awesome twist, and I really didn't see it coming. But due to Williams' association with the terrorist, he is now forced to leave and finally go home.
You know, you're in more dire need of a blowjob than any white man in history.
Dick, I've covered for you a lot of times because I thought you was a little crazy. But you're not crazy. You're mean.
Okay, that line's terrible. Who the hell wrote that?
Why is it so mean?
Nah, for real, it does get really intense as they confront one another. The acting is insane from both guys, and the story builds up to it so well.
And now they tell me that my best friend is the goddamn enemy.
Enemy? What is enemy? You killing my own people so many miles from your home. We're not the enemy. You the enemy.
But it is really sad and emotional to see him leave after all of this, after brightening so many people's lives, just like in real life. The movie is great. It may be a bit slow at points, but it's worth it when it kicks right back into gear. It's funny, it's sweet, it's heartwarming, and it's a brilliant movie that is certainly worth your time. Rest in peace, Robin. We miss you, bro.